What is up, ladies and gentle nerds? It's your boy Graham, also known as Hamhawks42 on the internet, and we are here with another exciting episode of Overthinking MTG. And if you are watching on the video feed, no, it has absolutely been 3 unique days. It's a complete coincidence that I'm wearing exactly the same shirt and showing up with the exact same energy level. All right, yeah, let's go with that. All right, so we're on the Gatherer. Let's go ahead and take a look at a random card. Ooh, all right, we got a spicy one today. So this card is Summoner's Pact. And if you're not familiar with Summoner's Pact or the Pact series in general, strap in because these things are bizarre. So it is an instant for 0. Yes, it's an instant for 0, and I'm sure you're wondering, well, what can it possibly do for 0? Well, it says search your library for a green creature card, reveal it, and put it into your hand. Then shuffle your library. Again, that's for 0. You get to tutor any creature that you want out of your library, put it smack dab into your hand. Then, at the beginning of your next upkeep, pay 4. If you don't, you lose the game. So, the idea is you get a free instant that you can just drop, but it comes at a price. There's this kind of installment plan. You get a tutor where you can grab any creature you want and put it into your hand, but one of two things needs to happen. You either need to pay 4 mana during your next upkeep. You basically have to pay 4 for this spell, but you need to pay it tomorrow. You need to pay it in the next turn instead of this one. Or you need to win the game in the turn you play this. You better, because that's the other thing is you can get it for free if you can polish off your opponent with whatever you get. So if you're getting a hasty creature, if you're getting something that's with a crazy enter the battlefield trigger, or something that you can cheat in through some other means, then yeah, there's actually a really decent chance that you're never going to have to pay that. There are some other options and some other ways around it. But that's really the big one. Also, I mean, it costs 4. So the idea being you can tap out and still use this. And this particular card is pretty bonkers because there were actually a number, and to be honest, I don't recall the exact combo right off the top of my head, but if I'm not mistaken, in Modern, Amulet Titan ran this. And it's one of those decks where I can't even begin to explain it. I've never actually piloted the thing, and I actually haven't played any significant amount of Modern, so I really can't speak to that meta. But I do watch it with kind of this curious fascination. I do find Modern players just very interesting, and the Modern gameplay is really fun to watch because there are so many cards that click together in ways that the designers never intended, and Summoner's Pact is one of those, where you can do just some crazy, ridiculous stuff with this by being able to, dig for. Well, and the thing with Amulet Titan is it combos with Amulet of Vigor in a way. Like the combo stack is absolutely ridiculous. There's a YouTube link, or there's a YouTube video done by Pretty Deece is the name of the channel, or the name of the show rather. It was a TCG Player show where they did a full breakdown of how the combo worked. I've watched it like 2 or 3 times. I still can't really tell you how it stacks out because it's insane. But Summoner's Pact is a part of that because it allows you to go grab a combo piece. So one particular part of this combo, which happens to be Primeval Titan, aka Prime Time, and you get it in your hand, and if you can do whatever you need to do with that card in your hand, yeah, you get to do it, and you haven't paid any mana to fetch the thing out of your deck. Ooh, that's bonkers. Like truly bonkers. So if you aren't familiar, the Pact series actually, there was a whole cycle of these at one point. I'm not sure exactly what set they came out on, but they're all, you see them every so often. They're the kind of cards that if you really want to piss off your commander group, go ahead and bust one of these out because it changes the dynamic. It changes the dynamic a lot actually because you can do stuff when you shouldn't be able to do stuff. You can be completely tapped out and your opponent thinks, "Oh, now's my chance." But if you have one of these packs in your hand, you can fake them out. There are a lot of other cards that allow you to do this. I mean, the Shoals from Kamigawa are the first thing I think of just because they're what I played with. I know that's not the best example of this at all. That actually is, of course, you're forgetting or overlooking the obvious Force of Will, which is the free counter spell that in order to cast it, you need to you need to exile a blue card from your hand and then cast it. So you're losing two spells, but you are countering a spell for free. Now, one of the packs is actually a card called Pact of Negation, which is the blue one, and it is a 0 cost counter spell. But at the beginning of the next turn, you have to pay. It's like 5, so it's one of those like, yeah, you can play it early. But if you don't have 5 mana available at your next upkeep, you just straight up lose the game. So where Force of Will is like, yeah, if you have another blue card in your hand, you can play it for free. Which, all right, going down that many cards, especially in the early game, kind of sucks. But at the same time, stopping whatever ridiculous shenanigans your opponent was getting up to could definitely be worth that. Especially if your opponent's running some kind of game-winning combo, being able to just say no at a time when you are presenting a face of being perfectly wide open. If your opponent thinks they have the shot and you can just say, no, just kidding. That's like, that's delightful. That's just a good feeling, having that moment of power. Now, Summoner's Pact is probably not going to give you that specific moment because it's searching for a green creature. And there are a lot of awesome green creatures that you can go grab, but unless you have something like Elvish Piper or Aether Vial or any of these other erratic portal, like stuff that allows you. I believe it's erratic portal. Is it erratic portal? Okay, now I'm second guessing myself. But Belby's portal. There you go. Belby's portal, Dragon Arch, those kinds of things that allow you to cheat stuff onto the battlefield. If you don't have those, then the thought is if my opponent is attacking me and I have an Aether Vial down, or with the appropriate number of counters on it, or I have an Elvish Piper down, I can use Summoner's Pact. So let's say the only card I have on the field is an Elvish Piper. Now, granted, I'm in a pretty good state if I have an Elvish Piper, but I'm tapped out, or I have one green up. So I could activate Elvish Piper, and so my opponent, not knowing what's going on, decides to swing in. Well, if I have Summoner's Pact in my hand, I can just I can turn it into whatever creature I want and then cheat it down with Elvish Piper, and that can block or do whatever enter the battlefield nonsense I want it to do. Okay, so I can't grab whatever creature. The creature does need to be green. Okay, but in this particular situation, I can grab. I mean, there's so many huge green options that would accomplish that job beautifully. So, this is one of those things where I mean, there are a lot of cool uses for Summoner's Pact. Yeah, not to mention Primeval Titan. I mean, just Primetime is fantastic. I have yet to actually, unfortunately, I don't have any. I would love to actually throw down with Primetime, but anyway, so the packs are just awesome. Being able to cast a card for free. The thing that I love about it is just the sheer trickery involved because it just fakes out your opponent. It's a feint. It allows you to tap out and let your opponent think that they have you. It gives them an opportunity to think like they're gonna be able to get you. Actually, one thing that I would love to do with this sometime is if this is the only non-creature um, in my hand, I'd love to get hit by like an agonizing remorse or something like that that allows you to, or a duress. I would love to get hit with duress with this in my hand, assuming I have the mana for it next turn, because then I can just cast this in response and just make sure that I have a creature in my hand that they get to look at, but they can't remove. Anyway, so it's just kind of one fun instance where you can really mess with somebody. But yeah, I didn't even get to the flavor. So flavorfully, I'm looking at the image. There's no flavor text per se because there's a lot of there's a fairly wordy card. There are actually 7 lines of rules text. So there's that. But the image is actually pretty cool. This is done by Chippy. who is a magic artist, the name that you've probably seen. I bet you have some of Chippy's artwork in your collection right now, and it shows a mage, or who appears to be a mage, well, perhaps a summoner, based on the name of the card, I can assume, standing on a cliff edge that actually looks pretty treacherous. I mean, that is not exactly stable, but they're standing at the very edge with their arms raised, with a staff, clearly making some kind of large evocation, some large gesture, perhaps calling out some kind of incantation. And you can see in front of, on the ground in front of this cliff is kind of this, what looks like large salt flats or some other kind of barren desert, perhaps. And in the distance, there's a volcano erupting, which is just kind of neat, and a river, or what appears to be a river. I can't quite tell. But the part that's really evocative and really cool, and there's a nice sense of depth on this piece too, but there's a shadow cast down over the salt flats, like stretching off. It's the sense of scale is such that you can tell it's a shadow that's very humanoid, but not quite human. It looks like some kind of golem. I would guess like an earth golem or earth elemental is probably what we're looking at, because it's humanoid in structure, but it has a very thin waist. It doesn't appear to have, humanoid or human hips. It's a very, automaton looking construct, but all we get to see is the shadow that it's casting on the ground as the summoner is bringing it, calling upon it and bringing it to the field. So there's clearly a gigantic creature, and they let our imagination fill in the blanks. But we do get to see its general outline and the fact that it's freaking huge. I love that. I think that's really cool. I like this. This art does a great job of playing with the white space, so to speak. We're seeing the gaps. We don't get to see the creature, but we know it's there and we know it's big. I love that. I think that's really cool. So all in all, yeah, the packs are great. They're just the gameplay wise, the lines of play they allow, and some of the unique interactions you get with them is pretty cool. That said, I've been hit with a pack negation before in Commander games, and it sucks. As the recipient of it, when you finally think you got your big bomb down, and somebody's just like, "Yeah, no," like, what? The blue player was finally tapped out. How did that happen? Anyway, so they're fun. The packs are great. If you have an opportunity to check these out, if you get your hands on some, well done. They're lovely. And yeah, this has been a lot of fun. As always, my name is HamHawks42. Well, it's actually Graham, like on my birth certificate, but I go by HamHawks42 on the internet. That's where you're going to find me on Discord, Twitter, although I almost never actually tweet. But the main one is Twitch. That's where I am the majority of the time. Twitch.tv/HamHawks42. If you could pop over there, give me a follow. It actually means a lot. That helps the stats in a big bad way. So that'd be fantastic if you like what I'm doing here. I stream every weekday morning, 5:30 to 6:30, and that's also my morning workout. So we have a good time over there. I'm a big fan of just brewing up janky stuff and doing push-ups when I lose games with inevitable janky stuff. All right, guys. Well, I'll catch you there or here tomorrow. You have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you later.